up till I'm on top.
Yo,
yeah.
no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, then I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, bitch, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders.
What up? What up? What up? Welcome in here to Pregaming. I see I messed up the date. Darn it to heck and all of that. Anyways, let me fix that real quick. In case anybody wants to go back and watch what's going on here. It's been a busy day. Hope you guys are having a great Thursday. Thursday's connected to Friday. That means the weekend is ever so closer. One more sleep, as they say. And a fun sleep it's going to be because we've got an absolute ton of college football. We've got Major League Baseball. We've got WNBA. We've got all kinds of things popping up this weekend. So it's going to be a ton of fun. Sports Money is going to be where you're going to want to find all your information. No live stream Saturday. Going to get a little Saturday off for the holiday. How about that? Don't tell anybody. But I do want to ask you guys what you thought of last night. We had a fun new show out there. Fun content, new faces, new voices. Hopefully some of you guys were able to come in and check that out. Sean Fox and company. I fixed that, but now I got to fix this. That stupid transparent button. Should just be preset. Should be preset by default to make life easier. But hey, if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth doing it. And again, speaking of doing it, last night, pretty cool little format. Them boys coming in there talking some sports. Of course, Ramon Scott loves to get on camera. Not going to miss an opportunity to get it done. But what a lot of fun. A lot of big college football breakdown. New format, new host. And I'm curious your guys' feedback out there. I would say, hey, you know what? Got to get him some graphics. We got to get him a little graphics package, and he's got to learn my name. But outside of that, it was pretty fun show. And they gave you guys 3 hours yesterday doing all the up and down the league out there. Lots of live betting. Going to be more live betting. It kept saying, oh, we're usually I post more live bets. I was like, dude, I think you gave out like 5 or 6. It was fine. It was all good. All fun. And making money on top of it, which is what we're here to do with Sports Money. So I want you guys to continue to tune in for this new content that we have out there. I'm incredibly behind with a football video for college football this weekend. You know, the problem is I'm like paralyzed by just so many games to pick. And of course I psyched myself out by starting out 2-0 last week. So now I'm looking at it going, shit, how do we get it done? Right now I'm watching Boise State and South Florida. If you guys were on the show earlier this week, you know that we bet South Florida at +6. South Florida +6. Now the expectation for this game, regardless of what happens here on this goal line stand, is the humidity to gas out this West Coast body clock style offense. And they've got a bunch of new defensive pieces for South Florida that are already coming in. They're already coming in to show what they can do. So, hey, speaking of what we can do, we can kick some ass and take some names. We had a nice day here yesterday. I say nice day. We generated about 3.5 units of net profit. And that's after, I guess it wasn't really a dismal start. We didn't really have any afternoon games, did we? Baltimore and under. I talked to you guys about this. I said, hey, I'll be back tomorrow regardless to talk about the outcome of that game. Look, you were laying the run line on Baltimore. You lost. You were laying -120. I was trying to get +310. I lost. We're both losers. I'll take my loss and I'll own it because that was the 9th inning. It was, they get scored on, they come back, they go up, they get scored on, and then they go down in the 9th inning there to ultimately not have enough gas left in the tank. The under 9 was an easy casher. So this is what it is. And then the Arizona first 5, I said, we're not going to double dip these games. Arizona first 5 +0.5 loses 1-0. Arizona comes back to win that game. And sadly, the Colorado Rockies went with the +1.5, was based on that run line trend. Turns out it was always the under. Talked about it at the show, at the pre-flop of the show. Sometimes you got to listen not just to what I play, to what I say, I guess is how that turns out. So those were the L's. And then everything else was winners. So let's get started. Plus 146 on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Nice big comeback 2-1 victory for them, boys. Under 8.5. And that Dodgers Reds had me shook a little bit there. Under 8.5, minus 124. 5-1 final. Some scoreless finishes to trot the end of that game. And in goes Boise State. San Francisco first 5. San Francisco pulled out the club and gave the Cubs the baby seal treatment. 7-3. First 5 plus 102 cashes. Last but not least, Oakland said we're going to ride that plus money athletics train, the Nomad Athletics, the West Sacramento Athletics, the Las Vegas Athletics, whatever you want to call them. They go out there, they win the game 7-0 for a plus 110. I thought it was going to be a dog day. We didn't get them all. Damn, if we had just caught that Baltimore spot, man, whole different kind of landscape. Bankroll would have had a whole different landscape. Now, the WNBA, plus 2.5, FanDuel number. Plus 2 was the final. First half, take it. Plus 1.5 for the Connecticut Sun. Wrong team favorite. Slight favorite, right? I mean, plus 1.5, it bounced back and forth. 101 to 95. So back in the saddle again. Back in the saddle again. And then how about today? Let's go into today. Let's talk about it for a minute. Let's just speak on it for a second. 3-2, the under 8 cashes for the Boston-Baltimore game. The under 9 cashes, 4-3 in the Houston-Colorado game. The Pittsburgh and under 9 for plus 225 or plus 230 or plus 240 does not cash. But the under 7.5 in the San Francisco Cubbies game does cash. So 3-1 in MLB, and this just in. Munar, ATP. He's up 2-0 right now. Those are all plays that were given out, not just on Winnable, the Win Club, but you can also get those plays if you're a silver or gold member over here. Effective September 1st, we will recognize the format. Silver members, I encourage everybody to go over to Winnable. Why? It's fucking easier for me. Let me just be selfish for a minute. Taking the time to post them into Winnable, then post them onto a template, and then post that template over to YouTube. That's just a lot of time. A lot of clicks. I want to have fewer clicks in my life. So I would just appreciate you guys doing that. But silver members going forward can expect weekday plays, things that are extra spots, parlay spots, and then gold members certainly will get the weekend packages out there. But look it. Last night we had a rip out there in a couple different plays. I told you guys yesterday. Some of the fewer selections type of situation. And sometimes things change as we release those plays versus releasing the plays here for pre-gaming. And we started off the day like shit yesterday, 0-2 over in Winnable. Then went on to win 7 straight baseball games, won a tennis game, and went 1-1 on the WNBA over there. So it don't matter where you're finding the action. It's just about being consistent, showing hard work on a regular basis. And that's what we appreciate you guys supporting. So think about that. Some guys don't want to, they're not into the buying picks. Well, how about supporting? How about tipping the dealer? You go to a blackjack table, you win a couple of hands of blackjack. You don't throw a couple nickels at the old dealer. Literally nickels. That's what we're talking about here. But we're in show, you guys. So the biggest thing you can do to support the cause is smash that thumbs up button. We're getting past them dog days of summer. In fact, I would say we're probably past it. I saw today 40 days till the NHL season pops off. 32 days till the Major League Baseball season wraps up and rolls to the postseason, and just 7 days away. The big news on the day, the Green Bay Packers acquire Micah Parsons from the Dallas Cowboys. Green Bay's odds to win the division and the Super Bowl went up. Dallas's odds to win the division and the Super Bowl went down. That's probably all I could say about that, right? I could give a shit. I thought he was going to go to Buffalo. I thought they said he was rumored to be in the Buffalo airport. I saw a picture. It looked like Buffalo's shithole airport. And it looked like Micah Parsons. So I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but so be it. So be it. What else is going on? What else is happening in the world of sports? Well, We'll see what's happening in the world of sports because we've got three WNBA games tonight. I got to play it, and the wrong team's favored. I feel like I say that a lot. I mean, it's happened to be right a lot. So with that being said, maybe you'll guess it, maybe you won't. There's just 3 baseball games. So I rolled together a Major League Baseball parlay. I've got a spot in the Yankees and White Sox game. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to add a 5th game. We already have the 5th game technically with USF from earlier this week. So, I mean, do we add a 6th game tonight to the football landscape? I don't know. I've spent so much time. I don't know how you guys are. I'm incredibly superstitious with this stuff. When it gets to a certain point, I'm like, I've thought about it so much now that if I play it, I'm going to lose. And if I don't play it, it's going to win. You guys ever believe in that? I believe in that. And I know I put the work in, so I'm not afraid to admit it. That being said, there's a lot of great college. I mean, there's a lot of, let me take a step back. There's a lot of good college football games on tonight. And as soon as I saw in that first drive that USF player smacked that Boise State player, I was like, woohoo, that's a big hit. Football's back. But I don't know how much I love this slate tonight. I mean, we're betting. We're not those posers that are coming out there saying, oh, I can't wait for football. We've got 2 weeks till football. And then they're like, all right, I'm going to wait 3 weeks before I start giving you plays. We're not. That's just some punk bullshit. We're not doing that. We're not here to play those games. But we do have some action. A lot of people on this East Carolina NC State game. It's a rivalry game. I'm going to tell you why I stayed off it. And I know somebody, and I'm sorry, I forgot who it was, came in our chat yesterday to talk about East Carolina and Moneyline and alternate spreads and all that. I mean, you know, I love it. Actually, I appreciate him sharing it. But this is a weird one because, you know, probably what you looked at if you started Googling this is how about the fighting at the end of the bowl game last year? And this is the very rarest of rares. Immediate bounce back revenge. So I can't mess with that game. Yeah, I'd probably like East Carolina, but NC State should go out there and thump them boys by 21, 22 points. What are you going to do? I'll tell you what I did do. If you guys want to consider it, it's a big pass from South Florida. Let's go, baby. I'm behind, probably. Rutgers and Ohio. I took the team total over 31.5 for Rutgers. Let's see what you can get right now. I questioned sharing some of that with you guys because, well, you know the deal. 6 o'clock starts. We're not here for that. I mean, we are here for that, but it's too much of a rush. And then if you come in late, you miss the play, and then it's like, oh, I didn't get the play, and where was the play? And bop, 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 bop. Right now it's 36.5, so I guess I would wait. The reason I like that play is because Rutgers against non-conference opponents is not afraid to just continue to fucking smash, and smash. It's like they're in a tournament, and the margin of victory matters to advance. That's how that team rolls. Do have action in Jacksonville State, UCF. I think that'll be a fun game to talk about. There's a bunch of games that Central Arkansas, Missouri. I wanted to get on the over. Then I saw a specific under. Same thing with Elon and Duke. UT Martin and Oak State. I got action in Buffalo, Minnesota. The game I want to add action to is Stephen F. Austin and Houston. The problem I have is they're force fucking our hand. That's the problem I have. What do I mean by that? I want to take the Stephen F. Remember this now. This is where I told you guys when the season's over, you got to write down some of these notes of shit that cash for you so that you don't have to spend 3 or 4 weeks waiting to figure it out again to start the next season. Right? What do we know about Houston? Houston's first 5 opponent team total under cashed like almost all last year. Now it's Stephen F. Austin, an FCS school. And Stephen F. Austin was just out there drubbing FCS opponents, putting up 20, 30 points a game. So I don't want the first 5 under 30.5. Or the first 5. Listen to me talking baseball. It'll take me a little bit to convert. Let me see if they put it back out there yet. See this, they're forcing where we're going to have to play. And that means, unfortunately, we're just going to have to stay. Let me see. Yeah. Yep. 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 Sons of bitches. That's where we just have to step aside and say, forget it. Not going to mess with that. But I want to. I want to get to full game under. I'll tell you about the trend that correlates with that. We're going to tackle Nebraska and Cincinnati. No pun intended. That's an ESPN game at 9 p.m. Miami, Ohio, and Wisconsin. And did I mention UB in Minnesota? I think I did. UB in Minnesota will be the games that we attack here on the card. I got a strong look on that San Diego State Stony Brook game. I say strong look, though. I mean, let's be honest, and it's all relative. A lot of the trends trigger in weeks 2 or 3 because it's comparative week-over-week analytics over the course of the 20 or 30-year history of the season. That's why these databases are the best. They've got 20 years of history in them, 30 years of history in them. But there are some week 1 trends and shit like that we can incorporate as well. So we got the 3 games of baseball. We got, 5 spots in college football. And then I mentioned there's 1 WNBA spot. So let's get to work. You guys know the deal. I'm going to shout out my guy, Skunt Blaster, with the scumbag play of the day, coming in with the dono. He says, gang, gang. Let's go, my dude. Appreciate you, Skunt Blaster. Always coming through, rocking and rolling, creating positive vibes up in here. Do me a favor, guys. Smash that thumbs up button if you haven't done so already. Easiest way to show the support for the squad, the team, the Sports Money Network is to smash that thumbs up button. If you like what you're seeing, if you're tailing this action, if you like the programming, if you're excited for football, I don't care if you agree with what we're saying, if you disagree with what we're saying, smash the like, leave a comment, and let's get to work. I want to take the time to remind everybody about the SZN. That is the Survivor Pool entry. Survivor Pool entry. It's over on the post tab. So you log in. If you guys are interested, like I said, you can get if you just want to do Survivor, you just want a chance to pick up $50,000 for the outright winner, $100,000 in prizes. It's $10 to enter. Super cheap, super inexpensive. Just come in here. Here's the plays that I gave out today. By the way, cashed, didn't cash, cashed, probably going to cash. Here's plays I gave out yesterday. Okay. Well, that one cashed, by the way. This one did not. That one cashed. A bunch of these cashed. Where are we going? Come on. Where are we at? I guess I'll have to repost it here because it's kind of down there a little bit, huh? I know how sometimes you guys just want to be there to click it. There it is. The NFL Survivor is back. Scan the QR code to get yourself set up and ready to roll. Or you can go to this website right here and then pick the package you want to get involved with. I take the classic bundle. Gives me a first chance, or gives me a Survivor entry, gives me a second chance Survivor entry, gives me a couple other pick'ems across the course of the season for a chance to win over $250,000 in prizes. Big time money. Not trying to play against you guys, trying to play against everybody else outside of our community. And some of you guys had asked today about some of the pools and things that we're in. So this is the one that we do. And we've been doing it for at least a double-digit years at this point. So going to continue to do it. Already rocking and rolling and ready to go. So I'll post it again later tonight. I'll post it in the post tab so that it's fresh and top for you guys to go out there and check it out. And if you're interested, $10 to get in. It's not a sports money pool. I'll repeat again, it's not a sports money pool, but it is a pool that sports money participates in every season. That's probably the best way to say it, right? Easiest way to say it. So it's time to get going. You guys know the deal. We have a lot of games. We have a lot of chatters. We want to see what you guys are on. My favorite part of the show is always talking about your plays, whether we're on the same play or not. I always like to preface, it's too late for me at this point. My plays are already in. So hopefully I can help you make a educated decision, or maybe we're going to be head to head. And that's okay, because it's fun to root for and against each other every so often, as long as it's fun, as long as it's friendly. But I certainly USF. New quarterback, 2nd and 20 right now. Shout out to David Wallace. Shout out to Vitalis. Says no Pirates didn't win first 5. Need a banger now. The Pirates, man. You never know what. All you can tell is that they're going to have a low-scoring game, it seems like, doesn't it? Doesn't it, Vitalis? Joe W's in the house. Peter Gracia. Brian Smith says the Cubs team couldn't beat a AAA club right now. They're playing head-up ass baseball all the way around. Well said. Yep. Stop Geo says Mika Parsons. We get a touchdown? Is the play going to be called back? Stop Geo says good luck with your bet tonight, all. Room to run says the USF coach put him on the shit list, Mike. That 4th and 1 call. Yeah, dude. That was a bad call, man. And it was a bad spot on top of it. It was like it should have been a couple of inches. Instead, they gave him a couple of yards, and they still fucking went for it. Yeah. Robert McCormick's ready to rock with us. Nicholas Handy. Stop Geo says happy. I got that Eagles line at -6.5 versus the shit show Cowgirls, Mikey Money. That thing is on the move. David Wallace says, it was a good afternoon. Let's go. It sure was. Peter Gracia says, Sox. Sedone burnt us. Ugh. Yeah. Peter Gracia says, Boise, get South Florida live now at +7.5. Get over that hook. Remember, it started around 8.5. DJ Hardy says, you went from one shit team to another shit team. I agree, DJ Hardy. Well said. Well said. 2nd and 30. What the fuck? Like I said, expect this game to turn around as it gets to the 4th quarter. That's going to be the spot. So we'll see what. Keep our eyes on the number. That's the strike price we're looking for live. I always like to talk about the strike price. Gets me excited. Peter Gracia says, that's you got on Winnable. Winnable, baby. The Win Club firing up today. Tarek B. I'm jumping on Ohio +19.5. Chris Warren's here. Blake M. Chris Warren says that USF quarterback's a problem. Think about it, though. He's transferring in, so he's learning a new system. I'm not going to give him an excuse. He can, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Nathan Cernas has got power fucked by the Astros on the run line. Yeah, dude. Yeah. It was 1-0 for the majority of that game yesterday, too. Brian Smith's on the over 52 in the Rutgers game and over 51 in the Cincy game. Nathan Cernas got Cincy +7.5 for a little bit of juice. And Scott Blaster with the Skunt Bag play of the day. It's in. It's ready. Akron money line. And under 50. Dude, I think that Akron money line's definitely, I think they're a live dog for sure. I think that's a great look, Skunt Blaster. I also think USF's a live dog. Brian Smith says, I like Cincy, but plus the points too, Nate. Yep. We'll talk about that game here shortly. All right, let's go. Get this show on the proverbial road. All right, I see a couple of you guys have signed up for the SCN. Congratulations. Look forward to rooting you guys on throughout the course of the season. It's going to be fun. Game number 1. There it is. Look, there's a lot of different. How do you want to dress this up? We can dress this up any number of ways you want to at this point. There's 3 games left on the baseball card. I thought yesterday was a dog night. It certainly was. This is getaway day or getting in day, if you will. And so we've got some situations going on here like the Phillies and Braves. Phillies are fucking battling back and forth right now, but you fade the Braves. You fade them. I just don't. Yeah, it's a rivalry spot. Yeah, it's a divisional matchup spot. I just think that the Braves are done at this point. I think the under's a strong look, but I don't want to get involved in the under business when it comes to these fighting Phils right now. And especially after watching kind of after watching that last series, I just have a couple concerns. Were they just taking it off against the Mets? Because, when I see that second round of a second series in a row of a divisional opponent, I always pause before I fire in. And we don't have a lot of movement right now. We have 71% of the bets on the Phillies, but then we have 75% of the cash on the Braves and literally no movement. So it's a frozen line. It's pros versus Joes. I'm assuming that the pros are just buying the number, the 150, because it's 150. And they just saw the Phillies in a travel spot, second leg of a divisional opponent. Traveling back home, albeit though. And this total's gone from 9 to 10 with 85% of the bets and 72% of the cash on the over. And I get that because when you look at these two pitchers, you have Nola and Cantrell. 5.5 ERA, 6.52 ERA. Neither of those numbers scream ringing endorsement. And do we have a problem here with Philadelphia? I mean, the reality is since the news of Zach Wheeler's wheels falling off here, this team is kind of just last series, like I said, against the Mets, they just kind of floundered, to say the least. I think the Phillies are a good look here. Nola's going to start it off. Both these pitchers are kind of piles of dog shit, which to me says the Phillies are trying to play some chess in this series. They're going to start with this guy. They're going to try to play around with that number one spot to see ultimately who lands in there as they get ready for the playoffs. But, you know, it's just it's a tough situation to be in. There's, like I said, there's not a lot of ways to dress this up. You got returning players. You've got a home situation going on out there. Like I said, don't forget with Nola as it relates to this game here. This guy's kind of, he's coming back in from a little bit of this is his third start back from the IL, right? His first two weren't pretty, and he pitches the contact. So the over is definitely a strong look for this game. I don't doubt that whatsoever. Well, let me stop that screen share there. But I'm going to parlay these two. I'm going to parlay the Phillies because I want to fade the Braves, and then I'm going to parlay them together with the Mets. Why not? Mets coming off that series out there. The fucking Marlins have shown it's almost like the fish was left on the dock too long. They're flopping around for a while. Now they're just kind of laying there, and every so often you kind of get one of those little. And Chris Warren says it's a bad matchup for Nola. Well, I don't know. Is it a better matchup for Cantrell? Thanks, You're in the run. This is way to go. 4 unders on. I know, dude. I felt like a dick when I was putting them in. I was like, I don't want you guys just to think I'm just auto playing unders, right? But those were the spots, and the spots are the spots. Cal Quantrill, it's not a great spot for him. Trey Turner's hitting 455. The problem for Cal Quantrill is everyone's got some experience against this dude. Yeah, look, the wind's blowing slightly out to the right. Trey Turner's 455. Kyle Schwarber, 158. Now, that probably means Kyle Schwarber goes out there and fucks. Bryce Harper's hitting 200. Real Muto, 167. But then you got Marsh, 364. Bohm, 429. Kepler, 208. And then Harrison Batter. Recent acquisition, 714. Bryson Stott in the 9-hole, 286. And it doesn't look terrible for Nola. I mean, yeah. Look, he's got a lot of experience against Ronald Acuna with a 345 batting average and 55 at-bats. Ozzie Albies with a 294. I mean, yeah, the guys that have been there and seen him are smacking him. So, over is probably a really strong look for this game, too. But, look, I don't need to sugarcoat it. I'm going to just parlay them. I'm going to parlay them with the Mets. I'm going to turn that into a plus 118 spot. But I'm not going to break down the Mets. I'll tell you what the splits are. I can't stand talking about the Mets. And now here I am in a position that I'm going to need the Mets to go do something. Minus 225 has moved to minus 250 with 90% of the bets and 91% of the cash on the Mets. The 8.5s have moved to 9s. Going to have to toughen up on this Boise State squad. 84% of the bets, 81% of the cash are on the over. It's Holmes. It's Mazur. 6.35 ERA versus a 3.6. Now, Holmes has been the guy that's the problem in this situation, in my opinion. But I do expect with an 11-6 record, he's starting to bounce back a little bit. He had a 3-inning, a 5-inning, a 3-inning, a 5-inning. But he just went into the 7th, his last game out there. So for whatever reason, he was struggling a little bit there, maybe coming off that post-All-Star break, and things just got a little bit monotonous for him. I think he figured out the routine. They worked on a few things to tighten up the gap in that spot. I could see this just being a spot where I want to fade that other side of things. So not a ton of meat on the bone, just between all the dogs that cashed yesterday and the way this day has started out, I just feel like these are the spots. Now, the reason I like it this way, by the way, I think these are potentially some one-run games. And so laying those run lines because They're big favorites, and they should go out there and smash. Isn't that formula we want to be involved with at this point? We want to circumvent that with the home teams not hitting in the 9th inning by parlaying these two together and saying, let's get that money. And that's what I got. Game number 2, the Yankees popping off here. The Yankees and the White Sox. And I'm telling you what, I'm looking for runs. Runs. You guys saw me firing on unders earlier. I like to bet my unders. Shout out to Noli Knows and making unders great again, but not in this game. Willie Warren, Doc Martin. Davis Martin comes into this thing, and look, let me start with the splits before I get into this. This thing should have fireworks written all over. This is probably a good double dip spot, but I told you guys as we close in the baseball season, I'm not going to try to stretch it out too much as far as first fives and full games, but I could certainly get down with that because I think the pitching matchup and the bullpens look at shining a light on runs all over the place in this thing. Now, the Yankees have moved to monster favorites. They were minus 176. They're minus 190. 88% of the bets and 95% of the cash are on the Yankees. I'm okay with that because it's the White Sox. Now, the problem I have, so just so you guys know how kind of, sometimes I share what my thought process was with how I cap. Maybe it's something that you say, hey, I like that idea better than this idea. I thought about the Yankees and their team total over, and I learned about it from that last series there where it was at the Nats. Remember that one that they won 5-1 and we were on the Yankees in the over parlay? Or I was at least. I can't remember some of the wins, but I can remember those fucking losses. And I remember my learning lesson in that one. By the way, I had a second learning lesson. And I told you guys I was going to start to incorporate it more and everything. From now on, the world of unders on first 5 3.5s are fucking dead to me. Dead. You're over or I'm not playing it. And guess what? I took the full game under in that Cubs game today, but that first 5 was sitting at 3.5. And I felt great about that learning lesson too. So that being said, I did look at the Yankees and the team total over because of Davis Martin. But, as you break this thing down and you start digging into it a little bit more, it's like, look, the Yankees are fucking lighting the world on fire right now. We talked about this when they had that Tampa series. They were somehow still ahead of comparable teams like the Twins and even the Red Sox in the playoff race. And instead of packing it in and shutting it down, that kind of motivated this team. It galvanized them to get together and fire. Then they get a fucking cupcake matchup against, the Nationals. And here they are sitting atop, trying to maintain that position. And they're crushing the ball right now. We like to zoom in for batting, zoom out a little bit for pitching. 33 runs over 4 games for the Yankees in that Nats series. It's not just that. Right, that's an 8.3 average per game. That's where that team total factor comes into play that I was talking about. They're averaging 6.4 runs over their last 15 games. So damn near the month of August, they're smacking almost 6.5 runs a game. And on top of that, here's the best part of it. Their WRC plus and their OBA they're stomping on righties right now. Their OBA is 403 and their WRC plus is damn near the highest I've seen all season with a 163. And we talked about those terms earlier this season, right? WRC plus. How's your team doing against expectations in the ballpark? And they're stomping on righties. Davis Martin, by the way, he's a righty, and he's in for a tough one. 4.26 ERA over his last 6 starts, going on the rotation since July. So his expected ERA is not any better. He's actually outperforming his expected ERA, and he's not performing very well in the first place. So I think it's a bad day for Davis Martin, to say the least. And Will Warren's not doing his share either. He's got a 4.47 ERA. The part for Will Warren is his whip. He's averaging a 1.4 whip. So every inning, he's got almost 1.5 dudes on base just through osmosis. So if anybody gets up there and shows any kind of courage and cracks that ball, there's 2 runs driving in there. His road splits, he stinks on the road. He's got a 6.09 ERA. So collectively, 6.09 ERA. On the road. Just a tough spot for him. Good spot for runs. And that's why ultimately I'm not taking the Yankees parlay together, because would it surprise me to see the White Sox come in here and pull the upset? Not really. I mean, this is the guy to do it. Again, I think they're playing chess by putting this piece of shit Will Warren out there on the bump. Look at this hitting splits for Chicago. 291 is 5th. 327 OBA is 12th, and plate discipline a confident team despite being on a shit squad. 20.8% is good enough to be 8th in Major League Baseball. 2 bad pitchers, 2 strong hitting offenses right now. How does this game not go over 9? Move from 8.5. Like I said, wouldn't be mad at anybody that wanted to get that first 5 in the game as well. So that's the way I choose to get through baseball today. Nasty Nate says Red Sox get it done again. Brian Smith says Philly's big bats have been pretty silent. Schwarber should be on a milk carton. Let's go. Nathan Cerna's got something going there. He's got a little New York parlay. You know, I like those. Dude, I thought about this. I thought about the South Florida Bulls money line, and I thought about the UB Bulls money line as a parlay. You know, I like those spots, dude. I'm a sucker for that shit. I don't care. Even if it's just a couple bucks to have some fun as you're rooting around. Nathan Cerna says, I had the under 8 in the Cubs Giants as well. Kelly V says Yankees minus 1.5. Grisham to score a run. Chris Warren says he likes the over in all 3 of the games tonight. I do too. Chris Warren says Phillies don't hit on the road for some reason. Yeah, that might be a problem. That might be problematic as they get into the second season. All right, let's get into some college football. I believe we started off the video series 2-0. I got to get a video recorded. I don't know how the fuck I'm going to do that. It's got some personal shit going on, and it's been really busy. But we started out the video series 2-0. We're 3-1 in the first 4 college football plays that I've shared with you guys. Remember, we've got South Florida. Gave that one out. Already gave out TCU on Monday's game as well. So that was the earliest I've ever given out a play. Monday for the following Monday. But trying to just be mindful of where we're at because we don't have a ton of data to kick this thing off. What's going on with my camera? It seems like it's grainy. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just my eyeballs. Let's pop off talking about the under in this Jacksonville State UCF game. Again, we don't have a ton of info to go with here, right? We're just kind of looking at a couple of things. When I look at capping some college football, this is the stuff where they get mad, right? They don't want me to share, like, how do you, if you give them too much, they don't need you. All right. Okay. If I go to a 5-star restaurant and start using the pots and pans that the chef's got back there, is it going to come out the same as if he made it himself? Probably not. So those guys are cowards. I don't mind sharing the secret sauce is what it comes down to. And you've seen them argue on Twitter about it. If you give them too much, stop. If you give them too much, don't do it. Don't do it. They don't need you. I don't believe in that. I believe if we all work together and we refine the playbook as we go, we're going to have one hell of a team that's ready to fire. And so that's what I want to do here is continue to help us grow and build our and maybe you guys can share some of the things that you do that give you winning bets that we can all look together, can all learn. Never too late to learn. The Gamecocks, the Knights, things I look for. Obviously neutral site locations like we have in that Nebraska game. I look for the biggest things I look for, and it kind of works between both sports is, well, mostly now with college football is how do the NIL impact her? I like a team that's grown organically. I get the NIL situation, but a team like Iowa State probably wins the Big 12 this year. I said it. Why? Because their coach, instead of those players that were out there firing bombs all over the field last year with a number 33 overall offense in college football, decided, nope, we're going to stay put. We believe, and the coaches got them believing this can be the year that they win the Big 12 for the first time in college football history. So I look for those types of situations. I also look for, plus if you're a returning starter, it's no different than the NFL, right? If you got guys that are in there for 2 or 3 years, they know the system. I also look for year 3 of a head coach. Year 1, you're inheriting somebody else's problem, right? Did I ever tell you the story about the, I don't know, it's not probably funny to you guys, but at one point I was in an executive management role of international sales squad. And well, we talked a little bit about the envelopes. The king of the land opens up the envelope or the king of the land. They're all pissed off. Like the land is barren. They're starving. They're not flourishing whatsoever. People are behind and everything. There's sickness and famine running amok. So they're calling for the head of the king, and the king's like, I got to get the fuck out of here. So he writes a letter and leaves. And he hands that letter to the new king before that king leaves. And he says, "What's this?" He says, "Here's a letter." "What do you mean?" He goes, "Listen, at some point, shit's going to get really bad." He's like, "I want you to open this letter." And he's like, "And then I got a second letter for you." And he's like, "At some point, shit's going to get real bad, and you're going to open that second letter." He says, "All right." So shit gets really bad after a couple of years. He opens the first letter. It says, "Blame the other guy." So he goes out to the people and he's like, "Listen, I know the land is terrible and things are bad right now, but trust me, it's going to get better. This is the other guy's fault." And people, they rejoice. Things get better. The crops start growing again. They're collecting tax revenues and everything's happy and everyone's doing well. And shit gets real bad again. And fire takes over the land and all the crops get toasted and people are dying of plagues. And sits down and they're screaming. The barbarians are at the gates. And he opens up that second letter. And what's the second letter say? Does anybody know? Write 2 letters. Time to get the fuck out of there. So when you're a new coach coming into a college football program, that first year is the other guy's fault. The second year, you're starting to instill your team, your program, your styles. And then by that third year, it's your players that are now in the positions where they better be, or you're not drafting and recruiting well, and you're on the way out anyways. Write that second letter. So that's another piece I look for. And then last but not least, our offensive coordinators. I look for the consistency in the OCs and the DCs. And there's a couple games that do fall under this criteria. So for the UCF game, the big thing is I was looking at this game. First of all, this line opened at minus 16.5. It's gone to minus 20.5. So there's some big money coming in on UCF. We know the bounce house. A lot of fun. Everyone likes the bounce house. 81% of the bets are on the Gamecocks, but 40% of the cash. And the Gamecocks are in transition team. 56.5 was the total. It's come down to 52.5. 85% of the bets and 88% of the cash are on the over. It's come down. That's a factor. And that's the factor I want to play on here because 2 things. One, with Jacksonville State being in flux, new places, new people all around, I can't see how they're going to score points. That's the first piece I looked at with this game. The second piece of it is, as I talk about these transitional periods, well, guess who's got transition going on? UCF. What's their big transition? Scotty Frost. Welcome to the squad. And so as I was looking at this thing here, he's bringing in a new quarterback from FAU. Are the Owls really the answer? Do they have a lucky season? There's just a lot of uncertainty there. The last season, that kid had over 1,500 yards, but only 6 touchdowns and 6 picks. So that being said, the weapons all around have changed. There's a lot of movement on the offense for both these teams, especially the UCF team that's favored by almost 21 points. Can't get involved there. That being said, Jacksonville State, 3 of their last 4 games against non-ranked opponents have gone under the total. And the best one I got for you guys here, cashed 8 in a row. We got some strong trends early in the season. Primetime home favorites with a total pegged between 53 and 57.5 are 56 and 22 to the under. They cashed 8 in a row. 8 straight spots in that position. I'm going to take the under 53.5. If you can only get 52.5, I'm okay with that too. They still got a margin of about 4 points in there. So I'm good to open this card up with the transitional period in UCF and Jacksonville State. I'm good to take this first game under the number of 53.5. Makes a lot of sense to me at the bounce house. We'll move into some of the later slots. Buffalo Bulls, Minnesota Gophers. Slapping under on this one for me too. Here's the thing about Buffalo, a team that's near and dear to my heart. Although I've never gone to see a Buffalo game. I guess I probably should. Maybe this year I'll see if I can get MMA Jeff to climb out of the dungeon and fucking get out there and see a game for me. These teams have a previous meeting between the two of them. Yeah, it was about 6-7 years ago, but it was a 17-7 situation. Buffalo covered, the game went under. Buffalo, when you give them too many points, they're too stupid to realize how bad they are, and they go and they cover. Now, they brought in a mobile quarterback through the transfer. So, automatically what I say about that when I preface this college football discussion is you got a new guy learning a new system. He is mobile, and Buffalo likes to run the ball. So collectively grinding it out, moving the chains. The thing about Buffalo, though, that's kind of been overlaid, I haven't heard a lot of people talk about their defense. Their returning starters in a system that's already got that continuity that I look for. So it checks the box that there's D coordinator consistency out there. I think it's his 4th year in the DC role. In any event, man, they're just a hell of a hard team to score on out there. And I think that's going to be a problem when you look at Buffalo's going to drain that clock and keep you out of the end zone. The other side of things here, what do we know about Minnesota? Well, they want to run the ball. So collectively, where Minnesota had some strength last year, we talked about the number 2 team to convert the chains on 4th downs last year was Kansas State. Nice big running touchdown. And he gives the extra shoulder for extra little merit there. Let's go, South Florida. The number 2 team, in 4th down conversion and moving the chains last year, Kansas State. The number 1 team, Minnesota. A running team in the trenches, big boys out there, keeping that clock moving as well. So you put these two together for me, I think this is a great opportunity for us to get out there. Buffalo on top of this, if you wanted to try to play that Kansas State, Iowa State situation, Buffalo holds teams to almost 3 points per game in the first quarter. So you get that first quarter around 10.5 again. I think that's a good looking move out there, but I expect this one to be in the trenches, much like we saw Iowa State. It's going to be running and defense. The difference between this game and that Iowa State game and why that thing got a little sweaty at the end, because Iowa State can pass the ball. Both these teams want to run the ball. And that's where I think this game comes into play for us. Game number 2. Let's see what you guys have to say here. Let's see. Chris Stopio says Chris Sale due back in a week or 2. David Wallace likes ECU plus 14.5 with DK boost for the home team. I'm not mad at that play. Dude, the variable is we've never seen immediate bounce back. I don't think so. I can't think so. I can't think in my lifetime of watching college football that we've seen a team play a team especially this type of situation. ECU, the little sisters of the Carolina conferences, NC State, they played in a bowl game. They had a big fight, big rivalry, and you got the immediate bounce back revenge. That's a tricky spot, dude. I'll root for you. And then I'll be pissed if they win outright that I didn't take the money line. Chris Warren says, I'm on Rutgers minus 15, ECU plus 14.5, and Cincinnati plus 7. The chosen one's on Cincy plus 6.5. Chris Warren says that QB is a problem. If we're talking about that QB for South Florida, he just rushed that thing in from like 25 yards out. Chris Warren says Buffalo plus 18. Peach Bowl. That's right. That's what it was. All right. Oh, Chris Warren says, are you? Yeah, it's the first half. Let's go. We got a couple more games to get to. Honestly, it didn't work out this way. You got to trust in me in this spot. Miami, Ohio, Wisconsin Badgers. If you don't like unders, this probably ain't the show for you. I like the cash. I don't care if it's under or over. Now, we've got our share of overs. Look, we got one here. Here's another situation that falls under the gambling criteria that I just talked about. So I've got my, I don't want to call them my rules, right? But the things that I've written down pre-flop, preseason. I'll tell you, before I get to this one, there were a couple spots that look like some overs to me. But how do you do it? The Hornets and the Blue Hens, Delaware State. I had some strong over trends on that one. It's moved. It's got reverse movement to the over. You want to trust Delaware and Delaware State to get you an over? Not me. UL Monroe taking on St. Francis, PA. 45.5 moved to 47.5. I don't want to trust the Warhawks to do anything. And I certainly don't want to trust them to do it against St. Francis. Remember college basketball? Elon and Duke. 47.5 moved to 51. 32%. If I was going to pull the trigger on any overs, it probably would be this one. 32% of the bets and 86% of the cash. Do you want to trust an Elon? Duke can go out there and put up 60 on their own. There's no doubt about that. And then the other one that I really liked was the Mizzou Tigers. But they're playing the Central Arkansas Bears. And the line moved from 51.5 to 52.5 with 92% of the bets and 98% of the cash. That's a quick rifle fire. Some spots that I was looking at for the overs, I just couldn't do it. Now we got this Badgers and Redhawks game. 41.5's moved down to 4. Well, it'll be interesting to see how those games, when we come back tomorrow to talk about them, it'll be interesting to see. Should we have played them? Do we miss the boat? Miami, Ohio opens up as that 17.5 point road dog. They're now 18.5. Here's one of them situations that I was talking about. So we got 41.5 on the totals, moved down to 41 and even 40.5s, right? Oops. What do we know about Wisconsin? Wisconsin tried to implement the spread offense last year, and it was atrocious. This is a running team. It's a ground and pound, boring football, drain the clock, watch it tick, bop, 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 bop. Now the the returning situation, here's another one. Wisconsin's defensive coordinator, Mike Tressel, comes back. It's going to be his 4th year. So there we go. We got a spot where the Wisconsin defensive coordinator is coming back now 4 straight years. And where did they strengthen up? As much as I like teams growing organically from within, look, they did bring back quite a bit of the secondary. So you've got that shut down the other team's passing offense on your defensive secondary. Where they get stronger, it was their defensive line bringing in transfers. So you're going to have a hell of a time moving the ball if you're Miami, Ohio. And if you're Miami, Ohio, guess what? You're pretty much returning, you're replacing everybody. They had a 6-year dude. The guy was a fucking doctor. Brett Gabbert. I don't think he was a doctor. Lots of people go to school for 6 years. Yeah, they're called doctors. Brett Gabbert, gone. Out of here. 6 years. 4 of their offensive weapons, their wide receivers that all picked up over 1,000 yards or more, out of here. 1,000-yard rusher, out of here. So if you're Miami, Ohio, you're in fucking trouble. Now, the only problem, the only caveat, and I got to look more at this kid. We'll see what he does tonight. DeQuan Finn is his name. And he comes in after, this guy's a nomad line in his own right. He's played at Toledo. He's played at Baylor. Now he's back to play for Miami of Ohio. But he's still got all new weapons around him. And you're going to be playing against a team that's been smoking. If Miami, Ohio last year played a power conference school, they cashed the under in every single spot. 6-1 to the under in their last 7 games against power conference teams. They're just not good enough to move the ball. So that being said, how about this one? If you got a low total in week 1, if it's between 37.5 and 43.5, it's a perfect 11-0 to the under. Smack. So we'll take this under 41. At least I stay consistent. At least I stay true to the way I shared with you guys what the fuck it is I'm doing, right? There's certain things that you look for and you got to sift through it a little bit. You got to try to find some of those marks. And when you find it, if you are going to fire, then at least have confidence and belief in yourself, right? Because we don't know what these guys can do, and not to mention the inevitable somebody gets injured or somewhere along the way. Last game on the docket, I was able to find a 7, so I took it. The Cornhuskers and the Bearcats. Fucking Bearcats. Not even sure what a Bearcat is. Is it a baby bear? Is it a bear cub? Not sure. They always look like baby bears when I see them on their graphic or whatever. And the Nebraska Cornhuskers. +6.5 moved to +7. We got some changes on the Cornhusker side of things. 47% of the bets, 80% of the cash, however, on the Cornhuskers. With the exception of you sharp sons of bitches, the entire planet is on Nebraska. Oh, South Florida. Go, baby, go. Be good. Stay good. Stay strong. 52.5's moved down to 51.5 on the side of the total. 69% of the bets, 49% of the cash on the under. Correlated. And I think this is one of those situations where we've checked the box with returning personnel. The problem that Cincinnati finished the season like shit last year. So I believe that they start the way they finished. However, look, it's a neutral site game. First of all, they're going to be playing at Arrowhead. I don't know who that supports or favors, in all fairness, but what I know about this Cincinnati team is they started off, what were they, 5-2 to start the season last year? Then everybody got hurt. decimated with injuries throughout the rest of the season, and they finished off with, what was it, a 4-game losing streak? Bad way to finish. But returning personnel, not learning new systems. Big spot for me. And coaching consistency. Scott Satterfield going to be back for, well, guess what? 3rd season. That's the spot that I look for. Brad Glenn, offensive coordinator, 3rd season. D coordinator Tyson Veet, he still got his first envelope to open. He's only in his 2nd season. So some pieces I like. And look, they brought over a redshirt senior, Tawee Walker. I don't know how to say that first name. I'll be honest with you. I can't imagine I said that right. The fucking dude was a redshirt senior. I don't even know what that means. But he started 9 games, played in 11, 190 rushing attempts, almost 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns out there. So you bolstered up not just your ability to remain consistent, but you added, because they're in their 3rd year, think about the system that they're trying to implement and how they want to attack the game. And they added that piece. The guy's a fucking 10-year redshirt senior. That being said, fading road favorites of -2 or bigger in season openers has been profitable. You're 72-31 if you're fading them road favorites. Now, neutral site, so you can argue how much of that's relevant versus not. It's relevant enough for me with the 7. I'm okay with 6.5. I don't know that I feel like this game's got 2 points written all over it. Somebody's winning this game by 2 points. It's kind of a bold proclamation to make given the situation here, but that's what I have for you guys through college football. Bunch of games. I even threw some spots and some leans out there so you can consider all of that action. The only other game I was thinking about playing here tonight was the over in that San Diego State game. So there's another over for you. Overs didn't make my card. So that being said, we've got 1 game left. It's in the W, and we've been running red fucking hot. So while they be scurrying, oh, look, the Braves take a lead 1-0 on the Phillies to start things off. It's okay. 'Tis okay. The WNBA. 3 games in play. Now, I saw a couple spots here. I'm just excited about watching some college football tonight. So I had to temper how much involvement I wanted to get. The Mystics are such an awful team, but they continue to cover the spread when they play the New York Liberty. The over and the Lynx and Storm should be a spot. 164.5 moved to 165. So not a ton of movement there, but a huge trend in favor of this thing going over. I just know the Lynx at home play a hell of a big defense. They get in the paint. They take care of them secondary rebounds and shit. So it's hard to score points on them to begin with out there. And once they blow a team out, they have a tendency to sit everybody. So Seattle Storm aren't that team I want to get involved with now, other than maybe they were in that look ahead spot from the other day when we faded them. But I think the wrong team's favored here. And I got to go to my girl Angel. Playing the Mercury, this line opened up at 12.5. A little bit of movement downward. 162.5 have moved to 165s. And, the Sky sitting at 9-28 on the season. What have we talked about with the Sky? Well, we talked about their last game. We snuck their under. That was a team that we wanted to, that's an under team that had 4 straight overs. And we were able to come in there and sneak them. Now, they're 3-1 against the spread in their last 4. The Mercury, back-to-back. Mercury are in that strange schedule spot that I like to fade. They played 3 road games. They come back home. Then they go back on the road. And so they're back home again. There's just a lot of travel. Phillies are down 3-0 now. Yikes. You guys said it. Nola might get carved. So that being said, as I was looking at this game, particularly, the number that jumped off the page to me, low scoring dogs off a loss. Well, that's the Sky. They're an under team. They just took the L. Those teams are 201 and 163. Here's the thing. The average line, 10 points. Well, this one's 12.5. So they're baking in 2.5 points for us. Plus they're covering by over a point. So we got 3.5 points of wiggle in this, and the line's coming down. That's where we want to be typically, is trying to get in front of this line coming down. And I think we have a spot to do that here with the Chicago Sky. So that's the way I'm going to close it. Oh, Brian Smith says 30 pitches in and not out of the first yet. Well, yikes. That's what I got for you guys. How about that? And we got the South Florida game rolling. Going to be 4th down. Got a WNBA play. We got 4 or 5 college football plays. We still got that over in the Yankees game. And the Phillies haven't even got a chance to bat yet. So let's see what happens as it all comes together. But you know what's going to happen is we'll be back here tomorrow. We'll be back here doing this thing at 6 p.m. for Pregaming with Sports Money. And I appreciate everybody taking the time to smash that thumbs up button. Check us out. If you haven't done so already, consider checking in at Winnable. Very least, you guys should get on there for the free plays. Doesn't cost you a thing. Get the text alerts. Push the free play every so often out there. And look, we're 14-6 now in our last 20 free plays. Worth considering. Make sure you check out Winnable. It's your boy, Mikey Money. I'm inviting you to join the Sports Money crew on Winnable. Get all of our premium best bet selections.
For a low monthly cost, you get the very best bets delivered instantly to your phone by text the moment they're locked in. No delays, no missed lines, just the smartest plays at the best odds.
We do the work, you get the plays sent straight to your phone right when you need them.
Don't wait, don't guess, don't miss the line. Join the winning team today and start cashing tickets with Winnable.